Hey, what's up? This is Alec Kermit, and today we're going to be briefly talking about the recently released Analog 3D FPGA N64 system. Now, this is not going to be an in-depth review of the system. There are plenty of awesome reviews out there, like the one from My Life in Gaming, but today I'm going to be talking just about my personal experience with this system, what I like, what I don't like, as well as touching on a few topics that other people haven't really mentioned so far. So first, let's talk about my initial experiences with getting this thing hooked up and what I thought when I first got it running. So like a lot of you, my first instinct was to plug this into my large living room TV, which I have a 55-inch budget Hisense 4K TV, and I was immediately not pleased with the result. For one thing, you have to remember that this is a 4K signal, yes, but it's still the original 240p resolution of the N64, and so when you're spreading that across a very large display, your results may vary. I personally did not like the way it looked, and it also made the built-in CRT filters way too obvious and distracting for me, and I just couldn't get it to look the way I wanted it to. Also, the Analogue, despite it having HDR on and off settings, my TV just wanted to keep that HDR on no matter what, and my TV doesn't do HDR very well. It's kind of a gimmick feature for this budget TV, and it made the image a bit more dark than it should have been. I then tested the Analogue 3D out on 3 other displays I have in my house: an IPS 27-inch PC monitor, an OLED 27-inch PC monitor, and a little budget 24-inch 1080p HD TV, and each one of them gave me varying results. The little HD TV had weird horizontal black bars, like banding in the image when I had the filters on, so that didn't work. The IPS display worked very well, and the OLED display worked very well also. Having that smaller screen definitely brought the graphics out in a positive light. One issue I have currently, though, even with the OLED, is that there's a weird graphical line at the top of the image when I'm using the integer plus setting in the analog settings, and that's to fill the screen up. But when I'm using that setting, there's this weird graphical anomaly, and it's present in 3 out of the 4 games that I've tested. Now you might be wondering, why have you only tested 4 games? Well, that's because currently flashcard support on this thing is very spotty. The Summer Cart 64 works pretty well, I hear, as well as the older versions of the EverDrive, but my newer EverDrive X5 simply doesn't boot whatsoever. This is something that CrickZZ, the developer for EverDrive, is currently working on, so I expect a fix for that pretty soon. But generally, how well does this thing work? Well, exactly like an N64. Once you get past the little operating system that's necessary before you boot into each game, games just play exactly how you'd expect. By far the biggest selling point of this device, and the one that surprised me the most, is the overclocking feature. Overclocking is something I don't believe Analogue even advertised leading up to launch of this thing, and it caught a lot of us off guard, and it is by far the biggest reason to purchase an Analogue 3D. In the 4 games I've tested, setting the overclocking feature to the highest level, unleashed, has yielded excellent results with no downsides whatsoever. JetForce Gemini here, for example, at stock settings probably runs about 8 to maybe 20 to 25 frames a second on average. When this is set to Unleashed mode, I feel like I'm getting more like 20 to 30 frames a second on average. This is a game that I've tried to play in the past, and I just cannot get past the poor performance. But now I'm actually playing through the game and enjoying it quite a bit. It's also done absolute wonders for Turok here, as well as GoldenEye 007. The 4-player multiplayer has never run so smooth. By the way, check out this Turok. It's got an original end label from the 90s, as well as the big cheat code written on the back of it. I thought that was pretty cool. Now let's talk about a couple things that have kind of let me down about this system. First of all, during the pre-order period, that was about a year long, screenshots of the operating system showed the save state functionality on this system, which currently does not exist, as well as video capture and screenshot captures, which do not exist. There's also currently no Wi-Fi capability on this thing, so to update it out of the box, I had to use the SD card that comes with the system, and I had to plug that into my computer and install that manually. I also cannot for the life of me figure out how to save memory pack saves to the analog system itself. This is supposedly a feature that people are using right now. I've seen people with the 8-bit do controller do this, but with an original N64 controller, I can't quite figure it out. So that's something I need to dive a little deeper into. Nothing in the manual actually tells you how to do this, and so I feel a little left in the dark on that. So in conclusion, the Analogue 3D is kind of a mixed bag. It does what it does very well, but there are some missing features here at launch, and the Mod Retro M64 is just around the corner to be announced on Black Friday with the ability to order it. So if you're asking me whether you should pull the trigger on an Analogue 3D now or wait, I say absolutely wait. The Mod Retro M64 is $70 cheaper. It's going to be announced this Black Friday, and I assume it's going to have a lot, if not all, the features of the Analogue 3D and more. I think it's really going to come down to which company supports their system better. Frequent updates is something that Mod Retro is known for, and I think they could very well pull ahead in this race. But when that comes out, I will be checking it out as well and comparing these two side by side. I'll let you know which one you should get. Thanks so much for watching, and happy gaming!